All right, Darren, first of all, Happy New Year to you and the team, obviously.
Happy New Year.
How has preparation been for Sunday's game against Torquay?
No, been as good as it always is. They're a fantastic training group when you look at their work Monday to Friday. I mean, I don't think there's been too many weeks, whether we've been in good form or bad form, that I've left the training pitch before a game and thought, that's a poor week's training. They're an excellent group like that, and very progressive group. So, no, training's been good. I think there was I think on the first day back in after Boxing Day, there was certainly a disappointment to the training, to the attitude, and that spiked it. We actually had to calm them down. But I think that's a good sign. I think you want people to react aggressively, assertively, when they've faced defeat, and it was certainly like that first day back.
And what specifically have you been doing in training to respond in the reverse fixture just, a week later than the 3-0 defeat?
Playing football. No, yeah, look, we don't come. We think we the things we do with them have been producing some good results. We think that we've been producing some good performances, and the biggest thing, I think we've seen a lot of progression in individuals, especially the young players. We've seen a lot of progression in their performances and their training performances, their match performances, their experience, their ability to cope with certain situations. So we just very much carrying on the same lines. I don't think you need to change too much when someone said to me we're 2 defeats in 17 or something of that nature. So if we're rolling out them types of numbers, then I think there's a decent amount of evidence to suggest that we're doing the right things at the right time. So no, just more of the same. More of the same. We had a discussion after the game that was quite lengthy. But I'm like that, win, lose or draw. I can talk people to death. Me.
And what is it? What did you say? What do you feel didn't quite go right last Sunday?
No, we didn't play very well. We didn't play. It's simple as that. We didn't play very well, which is going to happen over like I said, those types of lengths of games and the amount of games we've played, which we didn't play very well, and even tougher to take when it's a derby, definitely. But we didn't play very well, so we got to play better. We got to perform better. We had more focus, more drive, and it was even more disappointing because I'd not obviously been around the week before the game, and that made it even more frustrating that we didn't turn up.
And presumably with Grant Smith currently suspended, you've got to decide to either play Max Evans in goal for the next 2 games or potentially go into the loan market. What are your thoughts behind? Are you planning on having Max in, or is the decision to get a loan?
No, the decision will be to try and get a loan. 100%. I think you can do more harm than good with young players when they're thrown in at the wrong time. We had a certain plan for Max this year, and we'll stay on that plan. And we'll probably look to add to the team in the loan market. It's no disrespect to Max. It's not, we're not trying to put anyone down, but the plan for Max was to build him through a certain type of game and a certain type of experience. And as we know with goalkeepers, 19 is a very, very, very young goalkeeper. A 19-year-old forward is not as young as a 19-year-old goalkeeper, if you understand the context in which I'm trying to deliver. So yeah. Normally goalkeepers start their career a lot later than outfield players for the obvious reasons, where the risk and reward is far greater in their role. So we'll definitely try and add to the squad and make sure that we have it's a key role, isn't it, the goalkeeper? I mean, if I could spend all my money on 2 positions, it would be goalkeepers and centre forwards, because they're the positions that occupy the key areas of the pitch the most. So we'll be trying to add, but we're very happy with Max. He'll play in the next trophy game, definitely, and if we can't bring anyone in, he'll play, but I do think it might be a bit early for him.
And am I right in saying that Sonny Blue-Lurton's red card in the Boxing Day game has been overturned?
Absolutely, yes.
So what do you make of that decision?
The referee went with the assistant referee, and as you know, the assistant referees, if they see something, the referee has to. So I don't actually put too much blame on the ref. He only used his team in an appropriate way, in the same way I use Terry when I'm making decisions, and Craig White. He used his team and he got it horrendously wrong. It cost us 3 points. Absolutely, it did. The only disappointment I get from that is that when you then look at the subsequent red card of Grant Smith's probably right. You know, if players perform badly in my dressing room, they get told. I think all Grant Smith did was tell him that he didn't perform very well. So Grant's right, absolutely right, and unfortunately, because of the egocentric behaviour, we then lose a really important player in Grant Smith. Only telling them the truth, didn't perform very well. I tell my players that all the time if they don't perform. Luckily for me, I'm not having to say that too often at the minute. But this is the big bit. Managers, especially in this division, because I've noticed a huge difference in the EFL referees in the FA Cup, is that you can't talk to these people. You can't talk to them. And I think the referee's a good referee. Our referee from Sunday, we've had him so many times. I think he's a good referee. But you've got to be able to handle a certain character. And the higher you referee, the more you have to handle bigger characters, bigger egos, bigger expectations. But I think the biggest thing for us, and at the beginning of the season when we had the managers meeting, and this is absolutely stone cold true, the head of the referee says to the managers, "Have you got anything to say about, any questions about refereeing?" No one asks a question, because we know it doesn't matter what we ask, because you can't talk to them. So that feeds down, and unfortunately it's fed down to Grant, and Grant only told the truth. I mean, I didn't score the officials very high for their performance. So they performed badly. Fact.
I understand. And how important is it to bounce back against a team that you only played last week?
Well, we've been very good at it in the past, haven't we? I mean, we had a bad defeat to them last year. We bounced back brilliantly, and I think we've, the one good consistent thing about my time here is that the players have always shown a willingness to try and redeem themselves, and I think that shows a level of care and commitment to their football club and their supporters. It's very important we keep trying to win or not lose, or take a point. Any point this time of year is a really good point. We're positioned so far above really our expected level currently, that we just need to keep trying to exceed those expectations and keep performing in a manner. We didn't play very well last Saturday, and we got beat because of it.
Okay, thanks very much, Darren. Appreciate your time again.
Thanks, mate.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, mate.
Was the game against Wealdstone being postponed? Do you look upon that as being beneficial to you or hindering the cause?
You mean Weymouth?
Sorry, Weymouth. Did I say Wealdstone? Yeah, no, Weymouth, yeah.
No, I'd have liked to play the have really have liked to have played the game Tuesday, because of the manner of the defeat on Sunday and our performance level. I don't think we'd have suffered with any fatigue or tiredness. I think the players would have been, looking at the way they trained on Tuesday, we'd have been all guns blazing. So I'd have liked to have played the game, but what it did allow us to do is obviously give us time to try and appeal the sending off, look at the market in terms of goalkeepers, and a little bit more training time. It's given Mark Little some more time, Joe Quigley some more time, and that's only a good thing for those individuals. But from my point of view, I'd have liked to have played the game and gone steaming into another rival.
Mm. And talking of injuries, and what is the injury situation looking like for the moment?
No, we're looking pretty good at the moment. There's not too many in the treatment room. It's probably only Lawson now that's not fully training. So, you know, we've got to a point that I've spoken about for so long of, you know, trying to be in a competitive position, which we are, with the return of some key individuals like Mark and like Joe. Ruben's obviously now involved and getting fitter by the week. And now's the time to really kind of cement the squad that we built early on and the players that we added subsequently after the injuries and try and push on.
You mentioned you're looking at the market from a goalkeeper point of view. What's it looking like? Have you got any close deals in line or not?
Yeah, lots.
So it's fair to say that you might have a new goalkeeper for Saturday then?
Yeah, may do. Yeah, may do.
Yeah.
May do. It's the player markets and dealing and trading. It changes by the hour. So, you know, there's some massive clubs and huge Premier League clubs that we've spoken to, and you know, and there's some Championship clubs, there's some League One clubs, and you know, we'll look at the best one that we can get, and we'll work back from there. But you know, I would say I'm quite encouraged with the progress we've made so far. Yeah.
And is the COVID thing, is it this ever-present threat there all the time? Is it getting you down, or are you just sort of trying to work with it and not too worry too much about it?
It's there. You can't worry about it. It's there. It's not going away. It's going to be with us for the next however many decades. It's there. These things don't just go. They're going to be around for a while. So we have to work through. I do find it quite frustrating when I listen to the Premier League managers, because you know, I've been a Premier League academy manager, and I've sat in a meeting with the other 19 Premier League clubs, and the millions upon millions that go into youth development at Premier League level, and they're moaning about not having any players. What is the point of an under-23 team? What is the? I mean, they're all in. Well, I'm putting it out there for the general consensus. What is the point? We haven't got a youth team, so that's beside the point. But Premier League, I am talking millions upon millions. I'm talking about Premier League academies having bigger budgets than the top Championship teams. What is the point of them? And if they're in the under-23s and they're not ready, why are they in the under-23s?
Yeah.
Why?
That's a valid point. Very valid point.
Absolutely. Well, we go on about youth development. We go about top coaches. We've got some top coaches in this country. Why aren't they using their youth teams? They'll say, well, the integrity of the game. Well, what's the youth team there for then?
Well, exactly. It just
and when I say
is when you've got 12 players.
And when I say millions upon millions, the biggest budget I've ever had is academy manager at Watford. In all my first team experience, it's the biggest budget I've had. Not a massive budget, and in comparison to the top Premier League sides, nowhere near. I'm talking 5% of what the bigger clubs spend on youth development. But if I'm spending multiple millions of pounds a year, why aren't they ready?
Good question. We're
all in the same boat, aren't we? COVID does not exempt Man United from having COVID. Man United get COVID. No. Arsenal get COVID. Yeah. Liverpool get COVID. Everyone gets COVID. So the integrity of the game is consistent with the pandemic. Everyone's got it. So why don't we use it? And by the way, if we're not using the young players, then if I'm a senior executive at that organisation, I'd be asking questions why those young players aren't ready.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a valid, very valid point, really.
Yep, I think so.
And the fact that you're playing Torquay again without a game in between it, is that good or bad from your perspective?
Like I said, I'd like the game Tuesday. The Weymouth game evokes certain emotions, doesn't it? So I'd have liked the game Tuesday. And I would like to have seen our team react and under pressure like they've been so many times this year and come out fighting like they've done so many times. So I would have liked the game. It just means that we're hitting January the 1st and we get to play half of our games, which means that we are going to have a load in the second half of the season. We're obviously still in the FA Trophy. We're obviously in the FA Cup. We're in the Somerset Cup. You know, I can't play a youth team in that. So, you know, and Premier League managers might want to sit in my seat.
Presumably there'll be an element of playing for their place against Bournemouth in the game on
No.
Sunday. Now.
No. We're playing for 3 points against Torquay. Bournemouth can wait till the following week. Bournemouth have got enough on their plate themselves, so they won't be worrying about us. I'm certainly not going to worry about them. We've got to put in a performance as a team, as a football club. We've got to put in a really strong performance against a local rival, and ensure we come out of that, you know, with pride intact.
Well, I'm sure you will, Darren. So best of luck for Sunday, and keep up good work.
Thanks, mate. Top man.
Have a happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year. Come on, United. Man United, that is, not Torquay.
How are you doing, Darren? You okay?
I'm good, Paul. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good.
Did this week kind of add to the learning curve of these young players that if there's ever a game you're off it, any team in this National League are going to take advantage?
Whether they're young or old, I think the numbers are pretty, have been pretty good. You know, to only experience defeat twice in whatever amount of games it is I would say it's pretty good. I know for me personally, whether you win lots of games in a row or don't get beaten for lots of games in a row, the minute you do get beat, it's the same feeling of losing every week. It's an emptiness, a hollowness that I don't really like, and makes me quite angry. So I'd rather we get back to, we're going to lose games, 100%, everyone does. The lower down you go, the more consistency and inconsistency comes to play, which is why we're at certain levels. But, you know, there's always a manner. I always think there's a manner, and my teams normally throw every last punch to try and win a game. 3-0 for me is unacceptable. I don't care whether they're young, old, spend loads of money, no money, Wrexham away, Stockport at home. There's a characteristic and a quality, a principle to the team that needs to be met, and I didn't think that was met. I thought the fans were absolutely magnificent in their response to us, and their balanced view of probably the run rather than that performance. But I wasn't balanced. I was pretty annoyed.
And obviously we've mentioned before, if you had 1 or 2 injuries, you have to change kind of the system. And I think when we first saw 3 suspensions coming the way, I was thinking this could be an interesting week for you. Is it easier now that it's only 2?
Yeah, I don't think we'd have changed. I think the really sort of astute fans or observers of our games will know that we've probably played 2 or 3 systems every game for the last 12 or 13 games, and we swing, and because the players that have been coming on are fitted to certain structures more than others. So we've been really great at adapting during games, and I've said this to the players after wins or draws. We've been excellent at adapting to the change of systems. Josh Staunton's brilliant at it. Dale Gorman's very, very good at it. So, you know, Sonny's a good one. He's very adaptable. So we've been doing that quite a lot anyway, and I think that all these different players, we've talked about Plan B a lot over the 2.5 years, and I think it's nonsense when people talk about Plan B. It's just like Football Manager rubbish. There's no such thing. Plan B are players. They different ingredients, different attributes, different qualities. You know, when we put Ruben Reid into the game, we're bringing a different quality or attribute than Addy's qualities and attributes, and the same with Knowlesy when we play him instead of Sonny, and Sonny instead of Charlie Wakefield. So players really give you that opportunity to change the flow and the direction of the game based on what they can really do. You know, I think we're for the first time this season, we're at a point where those players that we recruited in the summer and we were so strongly behind and backed, they're starting to come back into the reckoning, having Mark Little back on the training pitch is huge. So it's I think we've got a lot of good things where we can adapt our system and our shape. Like I said, we've been doing it quite, during games quite a lot, and I think it does mean. I mean, we started out with one shape. We started the second half in a different shape. Sunday, and we thought Sonny was really pivotal to the first 10 minutes. So I thought he was excellent. It was our best period of the game, the first 10 minutes on Sunday, and Sonny's change of position was big in that. That's why I thought the sending off played such a big role, because I thought Sonny was the key player on the pitch at that, in that moment.
And I know it's not in the forefront of your mind, but we were rightly critical of the broadcasters for how they chose FA Cup games next week.
Yeah.
It's been picked for
You mean I've got to swallow my foot? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think they've reprieved, haven't they? They've listened to you and they've gone, we need to tell you.
I'm not sure they've listened to me, but look, I think it's just logical. I mean, we've just been through a pandemic, and we struggle more than anyone, especially here. We've struggled. We've got reduced crowds, which reduces our revenue, our gate, everything, commercial activities, everything. So, do we want giant killings and underdogs and things like that in the future, or do we want all these clubs to whittle away and disappear? So, it's great that we're on it. I wouldn't say I'm thankful, but I think it's just common sense. Why should we be thankful? But I think it's just common sense. If we want the economy of football to keep turning, then you've got to try and recycle the appropriate funds appropriately.
Obviously, understandably, it's been a very difficult year for everyone at Yeovil. Is it the growth of this squad that's possibly the one thing that's exciting you going into the next year?
Yeah, look, I really enjoy it. After last year, one thing, Terry and I sat down, and the squad has been dictated by the resource available. Of course, it has. If you ask me, if everyone could be 28 and in their prime, I think every manager would want that. But what we wanted an athletic team, because we felt the athleticism in the team would best endorse or project my way of playing. We also wanted to be as competitive as we could with, a reduced resource, for obvious reasons, and we've enjoyed working with them. They're a brilliant group. You never really know in pre-season. You never know whether they're going to be a good group, a bad group. You really don't. Honestly, it's you kind of learn as you go along, and when adversity hits, you see certain things. When success, comes your way, you see other things, and when you start a season and within 10 days we lost Little, Reed, and I think Wilkinson came off in pre-season in one, I think Taunton or something. You don't really know how things are going to shape up, but they've been brilliant to work with. I can only tell you, Monday to Friday they're fantastic. On Saturday we're all different people. On a match day you have to get in their character, but I've really enjoyed it, and I wanted to enjoy it because obviously last year I hated, especially the second half of the season, I hated every moment. It was the toughest 6 months of my life, let alone career, and I wanted to enjoy it, and I wanted to, if I also said to me, if this was going to be my last year at Yeovil, I'm going to enjoy it. We're going to do it how we want to do it, and ignore the noise and the fog and the crowd, and if they didn't agree, we're going to do it this way. So I wanted to do that. If it was going to be my last throw of the dice at this club, then I wanted to make sure I did it as as happily as I could, and as enjoyable as I could. I wanted to enjoy watching the team play, and I wanted to see certain things. And I've got to say they've reinvigorated me. I can't speak for Terry, but their energy and enthusiasm is just incredible, absolutely incredible. So we're really enjoying our ride together at the minute, and hopefully we can keep everyone together for the second half of the season and be as competitive as possible. I still think that maybe we've exceeded expectation probably a little bit too quickly. I still think there's going to be a few more bumps in the road, but I also think that there's the evidence there to suggest that we could be quite a special group. So we'll see.
That's great. Best of luck, Sonny, and Happy New Year to you, Darren.
Happy New Year, mate. Tom, mate.
Hi Darren, Happy New Year.
Hi, Ian. Happy New Year.
Got a few loans coming up, haven't we, in January? Are you in talks with...
I have, yeah. You ain't.
I might do.
Yeah.
Have you been in talks with
Yes.
those clubs? Are we looking to keep hold of our players? We've got quite a good group of loanees in writing, haven't we?
Yeah, I don't think we'll keep them all. That's the truth. I don't think we'll keep them all, but I think the majority we'll keep. When I look at the loans, we'll look at the long-term loans. That's Sonny, Jack Robinson and Mossy. If we keep 2 out of 3, I'll be delighted. I'll do backflips and cartwheels. I don't think we'll keep them all. I really don't. I think they've done too well. And I think the obvious thing when they do really well is that naturally they all want to jump up and play, higher. James Tilley, I think, did it for us. Probably it was the biggest change in year one. I think did he go to Grimsby or something like that in January? But because we've nicked these lads. I mean, there's no point hiding it. We've nicked them financially. I mean, so we've given them an opportunity to create some sort of profile, some sort of CV, and they've done a brilliant job. All 3 of them have done a brilliant job. I'd love them to stay. I'd love them all to stay. But we really are, kind of in the laps of the gods when it comes to that. It's a bit of a flip of a coin. So January's a bit of a tricky one. I'd like to not do anything in January. I'd like to just keep everyone, but it don't normally work like that when you've nicked them the way we seem to nick players. So we'll see.
We've got a few contracts running out in the summer as well. Is it a worrying month for you in those terms, in case anyone tries it on for any of our contracted players?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm worried about that as such. I've got to be honest. I don't think anyone could afford our players. I really mean that. My value of our players is quite high, quite rightly so, and we have undervalued in the past. But we've also, my 2.5 years, I think this is fact. I think it's fact. I know that's a bit of a contradiction, but I think we brought more money in the last 2.5 years than the last 10 years, which is a bit of a statement. But we've brought in some big transfer fees, surprisingly in some cases. But I don't think we'll lose any of those types. I think the loans are probably the highest risk. And also when it comes to extensions, it's very hard for me to answer that question because my contract's up. So what do I do? Do I build a team for someone else? Am I building it for us? Am I building it for Joe Bloggs? I don't really know. So I think there's a level of uncertainty on all of those fronts. But that's the industry. People like Luke Wilkinson and Mark Littles and Grant Smiths, they've had 10 years of living a year at a time. It's very, very difficult, and players in these divisions don't get enough credit where that's due. I mean, with 6 months left on my contract, I have to go through certain things like I've got to tell the people that rent my house that they're homeless, they've got to find somewhere else to live. I've got to start looking at different schools for my children, and imagine doing that every year for a decade. And it's tough. It's very tough and very draining on someone's, mental well-being and things like that. So I think there's lots of those. I think there's lots of indecision around that sort of stuff.
You talked about Mark Little and Joe Quigley being sort of back in the thick of it. How close are they to being on the bench or starting games?
Joe has been surprisingly strong, I must say. He may have only had 3 or 4 days, but he's been surprisingly strong. I've been very surprised how natural he's looked after an injury. Mark's is a completely different one because he had obviously invasive surgery, so that's always a different one, and he's in his 30s and Joe's in his 20s, even though Joe looks like he's in his 30s. And he's had 94 clubs. He's only young, but Mark's very close. very, very close. And his presence, even just training, brilliant presence, in the same way Dickinson and Charlie Lee and Lee Collins and all those brilliant players that we've had here. He's a huge presence, and as soon as standards start to drop, Mark's got the highest standards of anyone. As soon as they drop, his big booming voice comes out and everyone livens up again. So it's great to have him back out there. So the latest I would see Mark being involved, very latest would be the FA Cup game. Very latest.
Okay, so he could be
involved Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday. He could be involved Sunday, and Joe could be as well. Joe's had less time training, but like I said, has looked very strong. Like he's in a race to get back in the team. Which, if you'd scored more goals in the first half of your season and only played in half of the games, you would be pretty damn in a rush, wouldn't you? So, great options to have. Brilliant option.
Yeah. A nice change.
Absolutely. What, to fill a bench? Absolutely.
And Sonny and his his red card, you said, has been overturned. Has he got sort of a lesson to learn from the reaction from he was sort of played into that, wasn't he, by the Torquay player?
Yeah, but Sonny gave them a decision to make, didn't he? And he doesn't need to, because let's cut through all the crap here. Sonny is 4.5 foot. He's about 2.5 inches wide. What's he going to do to anyone? So I always think if you're gonna leave a dent, leave a dent. But if you're not able to leave a dent, don't try. I saw a brilliant video yesterday of Terry getting sent off against Halifax when the goalkeeper, and I think the goalkeeper is now the goalie coach at Wrexham, and the goalkeeper wanted to have a fight with everyone or something like that on his way off, and Terry got his big mug in the way, and then Terry got sent off. But Terry had that about him, that if he wanted to get angry, he could back up that kind of emotion. Sonny can't back that up. He doesn't have to back it. He needs to back it up by being the most creative, the most technically astute player on the pitch. And the disappointment for me on Sunday was that he was really pivotal to our improvement in the second half, in the early stages of the second half. And when he gave the referee a decision, it was only petulance, wasn't it? It was only petulance, and people are petulant in their 30s. I don't think an age makes you react like that. I just think it's an emotional decision, and Sonny's now been through the rigours of it. He got a severely slapped wrist after the game, and he had to go through the process of waiting to see if his appeal was upheld or not, and am I available or not, and so on and so forth. Because if he did get his 3 games, I think that would have been the end of his loan with us in terms of time. And if we didn't, if we couldn't extend it, I think that would have seen the end of it. So he's been through a bit of a week, one that he's never had before. But that's why they send them to us, is to go through these trials and tribulations before they do it in the big bad world for their parent clubs.
And annoyingly on Saturday there were reports of some unsavoury chanting.
Yeah.
Torquay have put out a statement this week. You spoke about an incident at Yates with Ali Youssef and the sort of abuse that was directed there. Is it disappointing to have to go through this type of stuff again? And what message do you think what message do you think there is for football to solve these problems or try and tackle these problems?
Well, as always, it's only ever a minority. It's only ever a minority. I mean, I always think you look at yourself before you point fingers. We threw a bottle on the pitch in a penalty shootout in a key game that could have changed the course of the game. So, it's always a minority. It's never the majority of football clubs and their supporters. But forget about how I feel. How does Lee's family feel? Seeing all the press come back out and seeing all of that, churned up again. How do his his ex-partner feel? How does his children feel? Forget about us and me. There's a bigger line to this. And if it was one of the 4,000 or 2 of the 4,000, disgusting human beings. And you can imagine what we'd all like to do to them. To bring that up is, not good.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks for your time, Darren, and Happy New Year.
Happy
Good
New
luck
Year,
on
mate.
Sunday.
Thanks, pal.